thank you for joining us again on Tibalt's Apprentice, Luck of the Draw. Due to some scheduling changes and so on, we're going to be filming an episode that Enrique and I talked about. Last time we talked, I didn't know we'd be talking about quite this soon, but things worked out that we were able to. So,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah? All right. Sounds good. Well, here's the topic that we're going to cover. There's a few things. Cheat counts, missed triggers. I want to talk a little bit about Oathbreaker, but we'll get to that in a second. So, normally we focus mostly on tabletop, just kitchen table magic, right? So the idea of cheat counts, what do you have to say about that? What do you think?
All right. So cheat counts. Not that we keep count openly.
Right. Okay.
But in the back, at least, I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself, but in the back of my mind, I think, okay, I'll let you slide this time. I'll let you slide this time, MFer, but you know what?
So it actually kind of slides right into the other topic, which is missed triggers. How much or how often do you think it's just not knowing the rules, or do you see, without calling anybody out specifically or whatever, but do you think you see misplays or misuse of plays?
Yeah, so, as far as missed triggers go, if you're playing an honest game of Magic, as we all should, right?
Right.
Someone at the table, if you notice it, you got to speak up. So,
right.
Because if you go back to, I want to say like professional Magic,
right?
What they're playing at the tabletops and
right.
all that. Well, you're expected to go back or call out missed triggers, even if it's your opponent that's missing those triggers.
Right.
And so, for the sake of good gamesmanship, definitely call out the missed trigger.
Right.
And sometimes you could chalk it up to not knowing the rules, or just you get so enwrapped in like how many steps ahead you're looking at,
right?
Like you kind of miss what's happening right now.
Right.
But I think I've been guilty of that too.
I think we all have. I know I have, and often have. So, this is a complex game. There's rules, and there's online wikis. There's all kinds of resources and stuff, because it's a complex game, even when it comes down to just. So that's one thing that I think. But what else would constitute a cheat for you? Is there anything in particular that you've seen or that you could think of?
Okay, so part of my old game group, back in the 90s. So we had this one player who would look at the top few cards of his deck.
Right.
Mid-game. Like mid-game. Just
right.
Look at what's coming up.
Right.
And it's like, dude, we're playing a multiplayer game. You still have like 2 turns until it gets to you.
Right.
2 player turns until it gets to you.
Right.
Don't look at your friggin' cards. Because, basically you're plotting what to do before it gets to your turn.
Right. And I understand from the standpoint of, like, you want to shortcut some of these things because it can be long and complex. And if you call out every single thing you do, it's going to take the game even that much longer. But I look at it as the fact that, like, there's cards that give you that ability to do that, to look at the extra card. You scrying. Maybe there wasn't scrying at that point.
No,
but,
there was not.
Then you shouldn't have been doing it. Or, he shouldn't be doing it. You're absolutely right. There's no reason that you should be looking at those cards unless you have an effect or something that gives you that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So another thing that I notice is the shuffling of the cards and the cutting of the decks and so on. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I do sleight of hand. But and I'm not accusing anybody else of this, but
I'm probably guilty of what he was about to say.
not necessarily. And it's not even necessarily guilty. It's just that when I see people shuffle sloppily, and that's fine. But what I see people do is not cut the cards. I mean, there's an old saying out there that says, trust everybody, but always cut the cards.
Okay.
And I think it's something, you'd be surprised. I've done a lot of reading and research on cheating and so on. And so you'd be surprised that people cheat at the stupidest times. Just like people lie about the stupidest things. You would think it was small, it's a home game. Nobody's ever going to do that. But how many times have you seen somebody take a card and put it on the top? Or now I understand picking up 2 cards and and then putting it right back or whatever. But I think, to be fair, just always cut the cards when somebody gives you the opportunity. And I notice by the end of the night, not everybody does that. And that's not a problem if you're okay with it, but I almost always, and the only times I don't do it, it's for a random effect, because I know people are counting on me, but I always count the cards just to help alleviate that temptation. And because I've already said that I do sleight of hand, you'd think maybe I would just to see if I could get away with it. If you knew my win rate, you'd know I'm obviously not cheating, unless I'm cheating to lose at this point. So that's, but it's one of those things where it would be very easy to cheat, and I don't think that, don't ever think that it wouldn't happen. I mean,
see, my mind doesn't go that way.
Okay,
when
and
I
that's
think about
great.
shuffling.
Well, I mean, and that's the other thing too. A lot of people are concentrating on their own shuffling. It's a skill.
Yeah.
Not everybody has it. Not everybody, whatever. That's fine. But a lot of people are focused only on themselves and stuff. And I just, maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm paranoid. I shouldn't be doing it. But just something else to look at or think about, or just to note. Because anytime you've got patterns to a style of play, and this may be because I play poker, not very well, but I play poker. And so anytime you can pick up on a pattern, it can be exploited later on.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
So that's what I'm thinking. So it's not so much these days. Nowadays you'll see the pros or whoever, you'll see people, fidgeting with their cards and stuff like that. I notice I try not to do that too much. I've kind of tried to get away from that. But one of the things that I used to notice early on in Magic was people, and the same thing with a regular deck of cards, will put the highest cards on the left-hand side of their hand that's facing them. Usually, not always, but a lot of times that would be, so when it came down to him to Turok or something where I got to draw, I would always pull the 2 cards from the left-hand side.
Oh, see. Like when it came to him to Turok, I didn't allow players to pull from my hand.
Yeah.
I would have them roll a die.
And okay.
We would lay out the cards, because that's what makes it truly random.
Yeah.
And maybe it's my paranoia coming through, but I wear glasses while I play, so I'm thinking, maybe they're looking at the reflection from my eyeglasses.
Fair enough. That's good. That's good.
So lay out the cards, roll a die.
So that's a good way to do it. And I'm not suggesting any right way or wrong way to do it or whatever, but it's just I know little things like that can be exploited. Now, am I a bad person for doing that and noticing that, or okay? But so then going back, we're bouncing around. I know, so try to keep up. No, I mean going back to the triggers now. I've been in actual play at local game stores, and I've seen missed plays and missed opportunities. And so maybe it's not necessarily triggers, but I've seen missed triggers, or anyhow, missed plays on their part. Am I responsible for telling them that?
I think...
Or does it... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think, technically, if you're going by, the actual rules, yeah, you kind of are.
Okay.
You have to let your opponent know if you're aware of it.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, can you play it off as if you don't know? Sure, you can. You can make that to your benefit.
Where's the line for that when it comes to advising on strategy? because it's not my job to tell you how you're playing. You should be playing your deck, or is it? You know what I mean? And there's a great thing that you said earlier, which if you're trying to play an honest game or whatever, it's something that we. Again, I'm going to go back to when I'm playing poker with my friends, even around the table, not just the casino. Obviously, not the casino because they have people to enforce the rules, but around the table at home, we had a saying that the cards don't lie. So if somebody puts something down and misrepresented their hand, just calling the wrong thing and don't see that they have something good, well, the cards don't lie. If they have a straight flush, they have a straight flush. If they only called a flush, well, that's, if they had a wild card or something in there that made it, you know what I mean? So cards don't lie. So there you go. This is going to happen. This is how it should be. And I think you're right. The same thing should apply here in that if somebody's played a card and has a trigger that's going to affect you and make you lose the game, well, they had it there. But I mean, I don't know. How does that go? And you should obviously point it out, but how do you handle that situation? You know what I mean? Are you that obsessed that you've got to win that it's like, I didn't notice that either? What are you willing to do to win at that point?
Yeah.
That's another
And
thing.
I mean, I totally get the temptation
Mm-hmm.
because, especially with high level Magic, recently there was someone banned from, well, not banned, but kicked out of a tournament for marking or marked cards. I forget his name, Japanese player.
Mm-hmm.
And so, huge game, and it was lost because the sleeves were marked, and so
Pretty clearly marked.
yeah,
I saw. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw that. So I initially was going to include shuffling in this discussion, and I'm going to show you why. I'm not going to go through the whole thing and stuff, but I'm going to cut for a second. Imagine betting back here with a deck of cards. So here is something that I want to show, and I was going to shuffle and do this whole long thing, right?
that's totally how I shuffle.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you ever do the riffle shuffle? Or are you worried about bending your cards?
No, I do that.
You do
as
that
well.
too?
Yeah.
Okay. It's usually good to do a mix of those type of things. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now, would you say that was a relatively fair shuffle? I mean, I did a little bit of a riffle. I did a little bit of overhand shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to you
Good.
presenting that as long as you let me cut.
Okay. And that's a good thing because there's an Immortal Sun on top of the deck. And I knew there was an Immortal Sun because I just now shuffled and put it on top of the deck. Just that smooth, just that simple. I do that only for effect to show how simple it can be while we were talking. Just that simple. So as suspicious as you are, think about what my win rate is, and we know that unless I'm cheating to lose, it's not happening that often. But you know what I mean? That's my point. So here,
Or maybe he's trying to lull us into
to a
false,
sense until we start
sense of
playing for
security.
money. Until we start playing for money. Let me get this out of the way here so we can see a little bit better. So here's the thing. Can you take that and now without looking without turning over the cards and looking, just look through the deck quickly and tell me where that Immortal Sun is.
Look through it.
Just without looking at the back of it or whatever. Just look at the backs of it.
Oh,
I guess
The
just
back of
flip
the
through.
cards?
Yeah, just go through the cards and stuff.
and try to figure out.
Try to figure out where the Immortal Sun is.
Did you put it on top?
I don't know. Look over and see. No,
Oh, no, you-
I put it in there. Really that fast.
Oh, okay.
So, so at this point you're guessing. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I didn't mark these cards. They came straight out of the pack. I just happened to notice this. If you look at the edge, see that little mark right there?
What? What little mark?
Oh,
See, I'm not.
it's even better than that. So,
What?
Immortal Sun.
Oh wow.
So, I'm good, but I'm not that good. Look at the edge right here. You see that little tiny,
This dark mark.
that
right
little
there?
tiny mark right there?
Yeah.
The Immortal Sun. This is not something that I planned or I use, but it's right there. So I'm going to have to swap that out and so on. But now the things you were talking about earlier, those were clearly marked. They were crimped, what's called a crimp on it, and you could see that it was done intentionally and it was there.
All in the same spot.
But you need to know, or you need to be aware that the cards themselves just might have imperfections on them, sleeves that you just buy out of the pack. That's why I try to make sure that I buy everything out of the same lot, if I can. Okay. When I buy, multiple sleeves, I try to get them out of the same lot. I mean, at the same time, it just basically comes down to me buying 2 or 3 packs or whatever if I know I'm going to do it. And also I do, I've started getting all the same color sleeves. I don't particularly like orange, but like a lot of my sleeves are orange at this point because I'm getting the Eclipse sleeves. So I just get that same color every time so I can easily get the decks, the cards out and swap them if I need to, do that. But I mean, it's something else to look at, something else to avoid potentially cheating. Anything else about triggers, about cheating?
Let's see. So, in regards to triggers, so it's very easy when you're in the middle of a heated game to not call out your triggers, especially if you have sequential triggers happening at the same time.
Right.
And so what I like to do is clearly say what order my triggers are going in.
I appreciate that. You're one of the first people that I really cognizantly know says second main phase.
Right.
You clearly call out when you're going to the next main phase and stuff. I'm thinking that I personally need to add in there priority. And I'm holding priority because that's a really complex issue. Another podcast log did a great job explaining that, but it's still a little fuzzy there. But it's tough. So okay. Then maybe it's a good time to talk about Oathbreaker. Yeah. I'm going to say that wrong every time, I guess. What do you think about Oathbreaker?
As a concept, I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just the thought of, just the name of the format, Oathbreaker, because you have the Gatewatch and the oaths that they've given.
Right.
Well, what if one of them decided, you know what, F this, break the oath, attack my fellow planeswalkers.
Okay.
And so that's pretty cool. And just the idea of each planeswalker having their specialized spell that they can cast over and over again. It reminds me of D&D. I forget. I believe it was, I want to say 4th edition, if I'm not mistaken. A certain class, I believe it was Sorcerer, had, once you get high enough in level, you can have a specialized low-level spell.
Right.
That's something that you can just cast over and over again.
Right.
And so I think that's, a pretty neat concept. And just adding commander tags to that, makes it a little more fair as well.
Okay. When I heard about it, part of me is I haven't played enough Magic yet, just enough one-on-one 60-card straight Magic yet to get bored and want a new format. Having said that, you brought this up Friday. I mean, the format's been around for a while and stuff. Our play group, we haven't played it yet. So you brought it up Friday and asked, you're interested? Will you play it? I'm like, sure.
Let's all build decks.
Having said that, I have my Oathbreaker deck here today, actually.
Yeah.
So, but
that was fast.
Because I cheated.
Oh.
Oops. Did I say that out loud?
You can't win.
Here's the thing. This, I'm certainly not taking credit for any of this or whatever, but the idea of doing a 60-card singleton deck.
And starting at 20 life?
I talked about this some time ago in another project that I wasn't quite as passionate about. So I did stripper decks. Not that kind of stripper. What I started doing, or suggested and did, is I took my commander decks and stripped them down to 60 card decks.
Oh, okay.
So I'm using this as a tool for me to play my EDH decks better. And also, after you and I have talked about this and stuff, I realized that I need more narrow focus in there. So taking a commander deck, an already existing commander deck, and stripping it down to the 60 cards made me think about, what are these other cards in here for? If I've got to focus it down here, like maybe I don't even really need those cards in there. So I'm using this as a tool for me to go ahead. So I did an elf stripper deck, and I did a zombie stripper deck. So the elf stripper deck was my Frail East deck.
Sweet.
So I stripped that down to just 60 cards. And I played it before in the past in our group. I didn't talk a lot about it or whatever at that time. But I use that because I see people making more focused plays with their deck. Again, I judge everything by like, what are they doing and how come I'm not doing it and how come they're winning and I'm not. So I'm watching them and I see people make big moves in single turns, wiping out the entire table, or, you know, clearly knocking one person out, then the next person. Me winning at a commander game is more like an accident. I think I'm as surprised as everybody else at the game is. That's my perception of it. Maybe that's not how it is. But I think that by focusing on those 60 cards, getting it down to a 60-card deck, I'm going to find more combos and more things because we're really limited on the time that we play.
Oh, yeah.
When you and I talked about it, we don't, you know, we have like one night a week that we can sometimes all make it. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes there's 4 of us. We may only get one game in a night, maybe 2, possibly. Right. You know, and that's how it happens.
If we're lucky, too.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think my goal with Oathbreaker is, and I'm not saying I'm not going to make a specific Oathbreaker deck. I maybe will, but right now I'm going to shortcut the system by doing that with some of my decks, not all of them.
Yeah.
But I have one ready to play. I know you don't have yours just
No,
yet.
not yet. No.
Now, are you going to build something? How are you going to? Are you looking at this as a challenge to, and I don't want to say an excuse, but as a reason to make a new deck, or are you going to take an existing concept you already have? Or are you just looking at what kind of combos out there?
I mean, okay, so since Oathbreaker is just Planeswalkers, and thanks to War of the Spark, there's like so many to build from now. You know, I have some ideas, and it's just a matter of making the deck. I already have a commander in mind.
Okay.
I already have a spell in mind.
Okay.
I just have to build the deck.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe next time we'll capture some gameplay between us on that. And maybe I'll have a completely different one than I have right now. But I'd probably be giving away too much if I said it was Ashiok.
Ooh.
But which Ashiok? Well, we'll see. In the meantime, thanks for joining me for Luck of the Draw.
Yeah.
All right.
My pleasure.